Mr. Nader.
By the way, I want to refer you to Cicero's definition of power, which is freedom. He defined freedom as participation in power.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good compass.
It is a good compass.
How do you square your rule of law, constitutional, statutory, international treaties, with the White House multiple assertions for invading Iraq? And second, how do you think the death and destruction in Iraq, which is continuing, worked out?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think history has a long arc, not a short one. And if in 1948, 58, 68, 78, or 88, you had said, here's what's going to happen. The Soviet Union is going to collapse. Hammer and sickle will come down from the Kremlin for the last time. 75 years of communism, never mind. Germany will be unified completely and totally within NATO and the West. If you'd said that in 48, 58, 68, 78, 88, they would have had you committed. Therefore, I think we have to give history a little more time. Now, let's talk about what was removed in Iraq. Saddam Hussein, whatever you want to think about weapons of mass destruction, intelligence was wrong, I fully own up to that. But whatever you want to think about weapons of mass destruction, this is actually somebody who had used them against the Iranians, against his own people in the north and in the south. This was someone who had invaded his neighbors twice, had drawn us into war twice, had put 400,000 of his people in mass graves, and was continuing to fire at American planes and British planes flying no-fly zones on behalf of the international community under a UN resolution. And so you can ask, is Iraq better off today or better off under Saddam Hussein? I can tell you I think the Middle East is better off today without Saddam Hussein. Because while we worry about an Iranian nuclear weapon, we could be worrying about an arms race between Saddam Hussein and Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. That's a really ugly Middle East. So I fully accept responsibility for, as one person who was involved in the decision making, for the lives lost, both Iraqi and American and others. But since I know that history has a long arc, not a short one, I'm awfully glad Saddam Hussein is gone. And at least the Iraqis now have a chance to build institutions that allow them to choose the people who are going to govern them, rather than being subject to one of the most brutal dictators that the Middle East has ever seen. And oh, by the way, if you think it was a humanitarian intervention to get rid of Muammar Gaddafi, who threatened his people, how can you not consider it humanitarian intervention to get rid of Saddam Hussein, who used weapons of mass destruction and put 400,000 people in mass graves? So I'm perfectly comfortable with that decision. Thank you. And oh, by the way, under a UN Security Council Resolution 1441 that threatened serious consequences, and under a resolution passed by the United States Congress.